James Kephart. Well, everybody calls me Jim. Well, we were on a farm, so I remember all the farm and stuff. I lived 10 years on a farm. No electric or gas. They didn't have it up there then in the country. Well, wheat was the basic crop. Dryland wheat farming. So my dad had rented a section, and we grew wheat. And he had probably 40 head of cattle, 3 or 4 horses, and every kind of chicken and goat and goose he could get, you know. Well, we left Kansas in we left town March 29th, 1942. Yeah, my parents, I was 10 and my birthday was the 30th. So I spent my birthday on the road. We were coming out, 4 kids and my mother and father. Well, my dad's brother had a farm here and had a job for him. And he wanted to stay agriculture because agriculture wouldn't have to go to the army, you know. So they didn't draft agricultural people. World War II had broken out December 7th, so that was 4 months later when we came to California. When we were coming to California, the Japanese were moving to Kansas, so it was just car after car, zip, zip, zip of the Japs going to the camps in Kansas and the Midwest, you know.
Good.
They had to be here. They had to be out to their new place by April 1st. So they waited. A lot of them waited till the last minute, you know. I almost finished Bakersfield High School when I got married, and then I felt a call to the ministry when I was 23, I think. And so I went back and did college and graduate school. Well, I like Bakersfield all right. It's hot and stuff, but it's small enough you can get around. And so I've never been unhappy with Bakersfield. I stayed out in Buttonwillow until I went off to college. So I was still out in the country for a long time. I'd worked with my dad, and I was good at welding and mechanic work, and so I always had a job doing that kind of work. Even when I was during the war, you know, they couldn't get grown men, so I even worked when I was 12, 13. So I had several businesses going too, which I was kind of active in the business of car lots and wrecking yards. And so I was a little more probably active than a lot of guys. Well, I just figured I'd be a farmer or businessman at that time when I got out of high school. But then the Lord laid his hand on me, and I felt I had to get to go another direction at that time, which I did. And he seemed to protect me and get me through 7 years of college. So, well, one thing that changed our life, we lost a little baby, about 6 months old, and that was hard on us. It was our second child, and so that wasn't necessarily a struggle, but it made me look at life a lot different, you know, and started attending church regularly. And well, I got out of high school to marry my wife. She was 15. I was almost 18. So I so I went to work right away in the shop. I knew I had no trouble getting jobs. That was, I had an occupation, and so then about a year and a half later, our first child came along. So I was just in the business of raising families and working. Oh, I went to church as a child. Well, we went to, my mom and dad weren't real religious, so they didn't attend regular. But in Kansas, there was a church in a little town 3 miles from there, Christian church, that we occasionally went. And as a child, I was in Sunday school and so forth. And then when I was about 12, I gave my life to the Lord here, and when I was in Buttonwillow by that time. Oh yeah, I did, when God comes into you, He comes in to you, and you know it. So that's what happened. Well, this Town and Country Baptist Church was donated by the Hershey family. The 4 acres that it sits on, and the 3 or 4 buildings that stand there now. And they were a good Christian family, and they donated it and built the buildings around, I'm thinking it was probably about 1950 or a couple of years later. And at that time, there were a lot of migrant workers, not necessarily Spanish, but from Oklahoma and Arkansas come out to picking up the crops and stuff. And so it was built with a shower so they could come there and shower and park around if they wanted to. And however, it wasn't used for that too much. It just became a little community church. And so the same buildings stand, that we left a lot of room out in front, or they did, so they could build a big, successful church there one day. Yes, I've been the official pastor since 1970. Since 1965, I was just fill-in pastor for 5 years. So. And Dr. Barrett retired from First Baptist, and he went out to keep that one going about another 8 years. He was a big, distinguished gentleman, and so he donated 8 years of his life out there. Oh, I met her in Buttonwillow. She was 15. We married not long after I met her. So I felt like she was one for me. So when we went off to Arizona and got married, that time they had they call him Justice of the Peace. They issued the marriage licenses there. He couldn't see good enough to tell how old you were, so we didn't have any problem. We went to Kingman, Arizona. Kids know where you can go to get married, and so somebody knew that was the place. That's where we went. Well, I'm not sure. I saw her at her uncle's house. I drove by and I saw her and thought she was kind of cute, and so it wasn't long till we went out, and so a few months later we got married. Well, she's been playing the piano for the church probably 10 years. She's known Hal for quite a while, but we had a good pianist there for 40 years. So, yeah, she plays the piano and sings. She sang with some of the choir groups here in town too. That wasn't church. Well, they were sort of church related, but not to our church. And so she's had quite a bit of singing experience. Well, through these 50 years, we've seen a lot of people come to know Christ. Many of them aren't alive now, but yeah, we've seen some miracles that way. We've seen people give up drinking and walk away from it and never go to an AA or anything, and things like that. Life's completely changed. So that's one of the blessings of being a pastor. I don't feel like I did the changing. The good Lord did the changes, but I just got to watch, more or less. Most of the time when people turn their life around, God's been talking to them a long time before they get to me. So I might just be the one to baptize them or something. Well, but basically 1970, I would work real hard. I was young, and when Dr. Bear would take his 3 months vacation, I'd have a bunch of them ready to baptize when he came back. Most time until I became the pastor, I just let him do the baptizing. But we're Baptists, and we baptize people when they confess Christ as their Savior. So through the years, everyone that joined the church got baptized. Yeah, well, pastors all feel that God calls them. Most churches don't appoint a pastor if they doesn't feel that call. And it's something that you know, and you know it. And I've sat with groups of pastors, each one telling how God called them and what he did. It's all different. With me, I knew one day that it was sort of like God talked to me, you're going to become pastor. Well, that meant 7 years of college, which I didn't have. So my pastor out in Buttonwillow, he thought surely I was hearing a different voice than God's calling. And so he kind of discouraged me. But I just kept telling him God called, and finally he became to believe it. And calling proved without any help from any church, just from what I earned and stuff, I was able to finish college and 2 years of seminary. At that time, First Baptist jumped in and helped me, paid my last year of tuition and bought my books for me, and boy, I was a happy camper. Well, probably the hardest thing my wife and I had to overcome was losing all of our 4 sons. They've all passed away, and all I have left is a daughter. So that was kind of hard, but the Lord seemed to give us the strength, and we got through it. Well, it's just, it's your duty, I think. God never told anybody to retire. If you read the whole Bible, you'll never see old age pension mentioned or retirement. And you'll know how that is. You probably won't want to retire from your work if you're doing what you feel is right and what God would want you to do. You just keep on going. Plus the call. When you're called by God, you know you have a duty there, and if God told me it was time to quit, I'd quit. He hadn't told me yet. Well, I've had a lot of struggles, like everybody has when things happen. But I wasn't such a struggle that I'd quit church or something like that, It wasn't that struggle. It just that I had hurt and so forth. And so no matter maybe where are you going to go if you don't go to the Lord? No other place to go. And so that's just I never got mad at God and quit going to church. Like I've seen some people kind of do that, but that has never entered my mind. Well, the families are those that God gives us the family to love and take care of while we're here on earth. That's part of our job. Do the best we can with it. Christians believe in strong families, naturally, and I do too. And a lot of times, I got a lot of grandsons now, and some of them disappoint me. I still pray for them and hope they straighten up and do okay and stuff. Yeah, the Christians believe in family. That was the basic unit of society. We have families, and then we join together and make a little government to kind of protect each other. And so when you get too big of a government, you got a mess. There's not enough family, too much government. Nobody can take care of their child as well as a father can. Yeah, some of them, the ones that want to come around. I've had 2 or 3 grandsons that's been in jail and prison and stuff. So I'm hoping they can eventually become what God would want them to be, They're still family. You still pray for them and hope for them. And when they come around, I tell them what they need, to do, which goes in one ear and out the other sometimes. Yeah, I just say that dedicate your life to the Lord and live for Him all of your days, and you probably won't go wrong. I've never seen anybody go wrong doing that. Well, just being a faithful Christian, I suppose. I think that'd probably be about all I'd care about being remembered for. We don't remember people too long after they leave this place, maybe a few years, But even the good Lord tells us to be an example. to live a life that's worthy. And so if I can be an example of somebody, that'd be enough. Well, I think it'd be the same advice the Lord. He said, now's the time. In this life, it's uncertain. I didn't think I'd live to be much beyond 40 because my father died when he was 40. So, and the Bible does say that if we love our parents and if we're righteous, we'll get a little longer life. But anyway, the Lord's given me a longer life, but for a lot of people, they don't get a longer life. And God is very gracious. He doesn't tell us when we're going to die. So if He did, everybody'd repent probably the last minute. But we have a chance to lead a good life, and they should do it now, not wait. That's one of the big problems. People don't want to do that later. Put that on their agenda. We'll put that down here. And so if you write down 10 things that are important to you and then put that in the right order of which is the most important, your relationship with God should always be on the top. And the Bible tells you that. Oh, my name's James Kephart, and that's my documentary.